Hello everyone. Now today we are going to learn about the GM counter. This is the 7th lecture for the 6M Physics Nuclear Physics syllabus. So GM counter, as it is known as the short form, and the long form of this is Geiger-Müller counter. So this is a nuclear detector, radiation detector, and in this, whenever a charged particle passes through matter, the atoms of the matter get ionized. The specific ionization, that is ionization per unit path, is directly proportional to the square of the charge, that is z square, of the particle, and inversely proportional to its velocity in the medium. So GM counters are based on the ionization of atoms by the charged particle. So that is a principle. Okay, this is a very important property. And in the nuclear radiations, the properties of the nuclear radiations, we have seen that the alpha, beta and gamma particles, when they pass through matter, they ionize the matter, and this ionization power, it is depending upon the nature of radiation, alpha, beta or gamma, as well as the nature of the matter also. Okay. So in this, one by one we'll see, nuclear detectors are the instruments to detect and count the nuclear radiations or particles such as alpha, beta and gamma rays. Alpha, beta, gamma rays cannot be observed directly. So all of us know that. They are very tiny particle and with any direct method they are not detectable. But they can be detected by the secondary effects caused by them in certain materials through which they pass. Okay, and this one of the very prominent property is nothing but the ionization. Okay, and what is ionization? We have learnt in our very first lecture. Okay, so when the alpha, beta or gamma particles they pass through matter, they dissociate the matter into positive and negative ions. Okay, so that is called as a ionization. Commonly, the detectors are based on the principle that a charged particle, while passing through matter, leaves along its path a chain of ionized or excited atoms which can be detected and counted. Okay, and the specific ionization. The specific ionization is a measure of the ionization power, which is nothing but the ionization per unit path is directly proportional to Z square. Z is the atomic number. So Z square of the particle and inversely proportional to its velocity in the medium. Okay. So GM counters work on the same principle and is used for the detection and measurement of intensity of all types of radiations, alpha, beta and gamma radiations. Okay. So if you remember, in the laboratories you have seen what GM counters are, and you have done the experiment also on the GM counter. Okay. So that will help you to understand the the working of the GM counter in a better way. Okay. So now in construction, what we have, a simple GM counter consists of a fine tungsten wire stretched along the axis of a cylindrical metal tube mounted on a glass envelope. Okay, I'll be just referring to the figure after this slide, and in that I'll just tell you all this you can visualize actually. Okay, so a simple GM counter consists of a fine tungsten wire stretched along the axis of a cylindrical metal tube mounted on a glass envelope. Generally, the tube is filled with a gas containing 90% argon and 10% ethyl alcohol vapor. The tungsten wire, maintained at a high positive potential, acts like an anode, and the metal tube acts like a cathode. A strong electric field is established between the two electrodes by the application of a steady high potential. The external circuit contains a high resistance and an electrometer to receive pulses. Okay, so that is the construction of the GM counter. The same thing we will just see here. Now you can see here. This is the tungsten wire. It is mounted axially on this cylindrical metal tube. Okay, so this tungsten wire, it is connected to the anode or positive terminal of the high potential battery. Okay, this works as a anode, and this metal tube, it works as a cathode. Okay, and then this whole thing is filled, or whole thing is enclosed in a glass tube. Okay, so this is filled with the gas. 90% it is filled with the argon gas or xenon, any inert gas will do, and 10% it is filled with the ethyl alcohol. Okay, and then this is connected to a high resistance in the external circuit, and then you have the counters. This will be this, whatever you get the pulses across this resistance they are amplified and they are counted. Okay, so if you remember in your physics laboratory, we have got a GM counter. So there are two sections. One is the scalar, where in which you can get the display of the count rate versus you can change the operating voltage and corresponding value of the count rate appears on the display. Okay, so though that is nothing but a counting system or a scalar, we can say, and that is externally connected by a cable to a cylindrical tube. Okay, and that cylindrical tube is nothing but you have a GM tube. Okay, and below the window of the GM tube you have the say source emitting alpha, beta or gamma radiation. In our laboratory we are using a cesium source, which is a beta and a gamma emitter. Okay, and this ionization radiation is falling at the window of that particular tube, and they are entering the tube at one end of this. Okay, so that is the construction of the GM counter. Okay, and how you get the performance of the GM counter, so which is, we call it as a characteristic curve of the GM counter. It is shown in figure 2. Okay, figure 1 will show you what is the construction of this GM counter. Figure 2 will show you what is the performance of this particular GM counter, or we say that the characteristics of the GM counter. Okay, so first we'll see the working of the GM counter, and then we will see how the characteristics we just explain. Okay, so now in working, what you have, the counter becomes active at a certain high voltage called as a threshold voltage. Okay, when a charged particle enters the tube, the gas molecules get ionized, thereby forming ion pairs. Okay, as soon as they just enter the gas tube, enter the GM tube, what happens? The gas molecules, the argon molecules, okay, they get dissociated. Okay, so you have a positive ion and positive argon nucleus, and you have electrons are removed. Okay, so you have an electron and a positive ion. Okay, they are dissociated. The electrons are accelerated towards the tungsten wire, that is anode. Okay, so electrons being negatively charged, they are attracted to the positive anode. Okay, and the positive ions move towards the metal tube, which is nothing but a cathode. The electrons moving towards the anode hit the molecules of the gas and cause further ionization, thereby producing a large number of secondary electrons. In their path, these electrons, they carry energy. So therefore, when they hit the in their path towards the anode, they hit the molecules of the gas and cause further ionization, thereby producing a large number of secondary electrons. Hence, in no time, an avalanche of electrons, avalanche is nothing but a flow of electrons, okay, is developed in the tube. The avalanche becomes more violent and tends to move rapidly towards the anode. The motion of electrons produces a current pulse which flows through the resistance R. This causes a sudden discharge across R. The pulse is amplified by an amplifier and is detected by a pulse counter. That is the external circuit in which you have an amplifier and you have a counter which will detect the pulses. Okay. In order that the counter could record a new particle, the discharge caused by the first particle should be completely quenched before the arrival of the next particle. Ceasing of the discharge is achieved by the alcohol vapor introduced in the tube, as it has low ionizing potential. Okay. So quenching is what? Removing the unnecessary discharge or unnecessary pulses which are unwanted for our detection. Okay. So the argon ions, quenching, what is quenching? We will see in detail in our next slide. The argon ions moving slowly towards cathode are neutralized by the molecules of alcohol vapor and prevent further production of the secondary electrons. So we want to detect only the particles which are entering the tube or the radiation. So for every radiation, a single pulse should be, corresponding pulse should be generated. So in order that the argon ions which are positive, they are moving slowly towards the cathode, they have to be quenched or they have to be removed. Okay. Otherwise, they also will generate pulse and the counter gets confused which pulse to be detected. So these, whatever the unwanted pulses, that have to be neutralized or that have to be removed. So that process is called as the quenching. This argon ions moving slowly towards cathode are neutralized by the molecules of the alcohol vapor and prevent further production of the secondary electrons. Now, we have the plateau characteristics. So in the plateau characteristics, as I have just referred to that particular diagram. So we can just see the diagram. In this, we can see we take the count rate, that is counts per minute or counts per 30 seconds. So intensity we take along the y-axis and the operating voltage we take along the x-axis. So you can see here this region OA, it is inactive. So you don't observe any counts up to this particular voltage at point A. Okay. So generally at around 1000 volt, operating voltage 1000 volt, the counter starts detecting the counts. The count rate will be displayed on the counter. Okay. So in our laboratory, it is the threshold voltage is around 350. Okay. So for the ideal, this one situation, this particular graph is shown. So at around 1000 volt, this count rate starts to begin. Okay. So this voltage at which the count rate starts, it is called as a threshold voltage. Okay. So this region OA. Okay. So up to this, the counter is inactive and it becomes active at the point A, and after the point A, the count rate goes on increasing rapidly up to the point B. Okay. So at the point B, you can see the count rate from B to C, it is almost remaining constant with a slight increase. Okay. So from B to C, it almost remains constant, and at C, there is a sharp increase again. Okay. So this region, it is called as a proportional region from this point up to B. So this region. Okay. And where the count rate starts, it is called as a threshold voltage. So the part B to C of the graph, it is called as a plateau region or the operating region, or also it is called as a Geiger region. Okay. So the counter has the maximum efficiency in this particular region. Okay. The GM counter is maximum efficiency. It is found in this particular region. And as you increase the voltage after this 1500 volt, what happens? A continuous discharge takes place, and because of which the count rate becomes very high. Okay. So this continuous discharge is a furious one and it is unwanted. So we have to avoid this, and if you don't avoid, the damage is caused to the GM tube or GM counter. So therefore, this particular region we have to avoid, and we have to just take the reading only up to this point C, whenever it starts increasing rapidly, we stop taking the readings. Okay, so this particular graph, it gives you the plateau characteristics of the GM counter. So same thing is explained in this particular slide. So we have the plateau characteristics, and in the plateau characteristics we have all the regions have been described here. The successful operating of GM counter depends on the proper voltage applied across the electrodes, which we call it as the operating voltage. The variation in the number of counts per minute against the applied voltage is as shown in figure 2. Just now we have referred to that. The counter becomes active at a certain voltage called the threshold voltage, as represented by OA in the figure 2. In this region, the total number of ions produced is proportional to the original ions. At a certain region BC, the number of pulses almost remains same, constant, and this region is called as the plateau region. The counter has maximum efficiency in this region. This is also called as a Geiger region. Okay. Any further increase in the potential beyond the plateau region will produce a continuous discharge. This is undesirable and must be avoided. That is the region beyond the point C in the graph as referred. Okay. So now we have to just give, this is the radial field at the central wire. It is given by, you just remember this formula, E equal to V divided by R into log B by A, where V is the applied voltage, A is the radius of the wire, B is the radius of the tube, R is the distance of the cathode from the wire, and E is maximum when A equal to R. So these points are very much helpful when they design the GM counter. Now there are certain definitions that you have to remember too. One, as I told you, the quenching. Quenching is removing the unwanted pulses, is called as a quenching. So what is it? For each entry of a single particle, the GM counter must produce a single pulse. Okay, then only it is detected correctly. But the positive ion which reaches the cathode detach electrons and produce fresh avalanche, that is unwanted pulse. Now the counter records two pulses, one due to the continuous avalanche and the other due to each entry of a single particle in the GM counter. This unwanted pulse can be avoided by adding quenching agent like alcohol vapor in the tube, and therefore we have 90% argon and we have 10% ethyl alcohol vapor, and this ethyl alcohol vapor that removes the or neutralizes the positive ions or the argon ions, correct? The process of preventing the continuous avalanche is known as quenching. The ionization potential of argon is high, that is 15.7 eV, and that of alcohol is low, that is 11.3 eV. The argon ions on the way to cathode get the electrons from alcohol and become neutral. Thus the continuous avalanche is prevented and GM counter records only those particles which enter the tube. Okay, so this process, it is called as a quenching. Okay, so unless we remove that unwanted pulses, we cannot record the correct number of pulses. Okay, and that is done by the ethyl alcohol vapor. So that is one definition. The second definition that we come across is called as a dead time TD. The self-quenching counter becomes inactive when the field falls below the threshold value that we have seen in the graph. If it is below 1000 volt, it is inactive. The interval of time for which the counter becomes insensitive is called as a dead time. During this time interval, the counter does not record any pulses. Okay, so there is a pause taken in between the entry of the first particle and the entry of the next particle. So in between that, a pause is taken, and that particular time period, the value of the operating voltage drops to the threshold value. So the counter becomes inactive, and that the interval, the counter does not record any pulses, that is called as a dead time. Okay, generally the dead time is around 500 microsecond. Okay, this is again decided in the designing of the GM counter. And then counter recovery time. As soon as the field attains the threshold value, the counter recovers and becomes ready for the entry of another particle. Okay, so the time after which the original pulse levels are restored is called as the counter recovery time. So these definitions you have to remember. What is the quenching process and why it is necessary? What is the dead time? How it is decided? And what is the counter recovery time? Okay, so these three definitions are very much important. Then the efficiency, another definition which is very important again, the efficiency of the counter. How do we measure? The efficiency of the counter is defined as the ratio of the number of observed counts per unit time to the number of ionizing particles which pass through the counter tube during that time. Okay. So eta is the notation for efficiency, that is N naught divided by N, where N is the number of ion pairs those are produced, and what is N naught? N naught is the number of observed counts per unit time to the number of ionizing particles which pass through the counter tube during that time. Okay. Now we can just find out what is the total charge collected on the electrode, which is given by the charge Q is equal to 2 into N into E, because for each entry of the particle you have N into E electrons are produced and N into E plus positive ions are produced. Okay, so total charge that is developed is 2 times N into E. If the capacity of the electrode is C, then the source EMF generated in the cylinder is given by what? E is equal to Q upon C. So Q is equal to 2NE. So E equal to 2NE divided by C. This EMF gives rise to a flow of current in the external circuit. If R is the resistance in the external circuit, then magnitude of ionization current is what? From Ohm's law, I is equal to E divided by R. So E is 2NE upon C, 2NE upon C divided by R. So total it becomes 2NE divided by CR. Now in this equation, we have E is the charge of the particle, which is a constant. C is the capacity of the electrode, which is a constant. R is the high resistance in the external circuit, which is a constant. So from this equation, we have this current I is directly proportional to the number of particles that are ionizing particles which pass through the counter tube. Okay, so this current pulse is directly proportional to the number of particles, and therefore for each single pulse a count is counted, and which is proportional to the number of particles. So that is how the intensity of the particle or the count rate of the particle is detected in the particular, say, counter or the scaler. But this current, whatever current pulse is generated, it is of the order of milliampere, and therefore it is amplified by the amplifier, and then it is detected by the scalar. So therefore amplifiers are used in the external circuit, and then the scalar circuit is used for the detection of this. So directly you can just observe the count rate on the display board of the counter. Okay, and you can watch the operating voltage also. There is a knob for the changing of the operating voltage. So operating voltage value also appears on the display board, and the count rate also, corresponding count rate also appears there. Okay, so this is how we can just find out the characteristics of the GM counter, and in this particular counter all the three particle radiations alpha, beta and gamma can be detected. Okay, so in the next lecture we will be learning another counter, which is nothing but a scintillation counter, and this scintillation counter is more sensitive than the GM counter. So we'll stop for today.